George Kytriacou. I am 58 years old. I was born in 1959 and I am doing this on behalf for Theo Kyriacou, he was born in 1923. He came to Australia in 1948.
My name is George Hadji Kytriacou. I got the father Phillip Hadji Kytriacou. Was 1954. Is my battalion refugee 74 with my father and the parents and my sisters.
My father was a very hard-working person, very family-orientated.
And I married 34 years ago my wife, Zaharo.
And anything for us, loved us, we loved him back.
My name's Helen Konstantopoulos. I used to be Eleni Hadji Kytriacou. I was born in Cyprus in 1965. Philippos Hadji Kytriacou was my dad. Despina Pakou Hadji Kytriacou was mum. My brothers were George and Kyriakos, Yorgos and Kyriakos, and Maria and myself.
Took us to Cyprus. I think I would have been around about 12 to 13 years old. We went to his village, which was called Asha, and there he had a brother, Phillip Kyriacou, who had a service station called Petrolina, and we had cousins there, and he took me to his mother's house, showed me his mother's house where they all live, the Gafanio, the church and all that in Asha, and all his friends.
My memory in my father, when I start to remember, is got a little bus and take people to Nicosia and to Famagusta for work. And after the bus, she start their own petrol station, Petrolina call him, and he service customers on pouring petrol and look after the customers, and all the customers is very, very happy with my father.
Bringing us up, trying to give us a good education. We used to go to church every Sunday. It's very church orientated. He tried to push us to become good at school and our values too. We were family orientated, the mood was good, we didn't live in any flash house or anything like that, but we had everything we wanted. We'd go on our holidays. There's nothing that we didn't want that we didn't get, within reason.
People we can't pay the bills, give him money and pay back to my father wherever you got the money and the time. So all my village, about 7,000 people that time, is very, very quiet and appreciated with my father.
My father always being a powerful man, a strong man, in the sense that our house was always full of people, full of laughter, full of drink, full of food, both in Cyprus and in Australia. I grew up with laughter in the house and always around a table, a dinner table, always with lots and lots of people coming to see my parents at any time. Having a siesta under a lemon tree and the fragrant smell of lemons, lemon blossoms. I remember trying to wake him up to take us to the beach, and the nagging the 4 kids used to do to get him up, to get him out of his lunchtime siesta, to take us to the beach.
Like I said before, for the education, schooling, providing things to us, going to church, going to picnics, going to playgrounds, and that's about it.
So you had fun with your father?
Yes, we had fun. We used to go to the Patsalutes, who had a farm in Berrimah. Nearly every Sunday we'd go there, we'd have parties there, which he was my godfather, Tony Patsalute. My father would go to church on a Sunday, Gaffanil. He would mix with the Patsalutes again. We'd go to Howard Springs for picnics, Berry Springs for picnics, with my Uncle Barney as well, and friends that he had in Darwin, which would come over our place and we would go over their place.
Because he's a good man and help people.
Which village was this, George?
Asha, let's call him Asha.
Your
Father is one of the best fathers you can see to help family and look after each other.
That he was a family man, and I always remember him. But when we came to Australia, Chris, we had nothing, but yet we grew up with everything. There was never a day that we didn't have food on the table. There was never a day that I didn't have clothes to wear. We always had everything. And what can I say about my father? That was that even though in his later years he had dementia, he always knew his name, and he was a very, very proud man, and he would say, Philippos Hadji Kytriacou. Favourite rice custard, he would always offer me first. And that says a lot, that someone with dementia would offer his meal to his child first. Dad raised us always to be honest. That was our biggest value, was that he led by example.
Like I said, he used to go to church, he helped a lot of people. My mother's side of the family, his side of the family, and other people.
What was his interests? I mean,
his interests were work.
But what kind of work did he do?
My father was a boiler maker, welder, builder, and various other lot of jobs that he could do as well.
Did he impart any of those skills? Did you learn from him those?
I learned a few
qualities?
skills in the building trade with him.
Because my brother and the sisters start high school and he need more support on school that time in Sydney, because he's not in Darwin that time. So nice school in here to finishing.
Your brothers and sisters in that family house, what was it like growing up in Cyprus?
It's very well, because that time my brothers and the sisters is only 12, 14 years old, and I'll be 18, 19. So you got a good life and good memory. But all this now is finished.
I can't say Dad was a very loving, affectionate person, but we knew his love and support was there for us. I remember waking up after a small operation, a gallbladder operation, and there was my father just patiently waiting there with his walking stick for me. He was always there. He wasn't a cuddly, affectionate father, but he was always there for us.
Dig up the garden and so he can plant all these things. I used to cut pawpaws, cucumbers, watermelons. We had pigs, we had ducks, we had pigeons.
Did he build that oven?
Yes,
Remember?
yep. He built an oven in 35 Australia Street, which he built it so when he passed away, that I could lift it up and bring it to where I am at the moment, which is 23 Muzzle Street, Bayview.
What are your favourite memories of your father?
Going on holidays, going on picnics and campings.
Where did you go on holidays?
We went to Cyprus, went to Egypt, went to Singapore, went to Hong Kong, went to Greece, went to Rhodes.
A very, very popular man and help a lot of people in Cyprus. With every single places, it is like the church, it's like communities, it's help every single people in Cyprus.
My father worked very hard in Cyprus, in the field and as a blacksmith. When he came to Australia, he was dedicated in working hard to make money to bring the rest of his family to Australia. Work was his first priority.
Australia, they were always 1 foot out the door, that Cyprus was going to be resolved and they would go back. So there were no plans made. Mum was almost depressed. Well, as I see Dad as the stronger figure, as the more head of the family that had to go out to work to provide for us. Well, as Mum, even though she worked from home, was more, I'm not making any plans, I'm not going to buy another plate because I had my plates in Cyprus. I'm not going to buy my glassware because I had my glassware in Cyprus, and this was all temporary. But with the years, as those years progressed, they saw that we weren't going back and accepted Australia.
His dream was to leave Cyprus and come to Australia for a better future, to make money and to go back to live in Cyprus.
His life is like to help people, always. So good life in Cyprus, and I've been enjoying with all my family and all friends, and completely different in Australia. You couldn't find that life in Australia. It's much better that time. I don't know now, but that time is absolutely better.
What was it about the life?
Everybody is enjoying every day, every night is enjoying, and of course it's here now is different because my father is in Sydney, passed away now. My mother is the same. Yes, I got my uncle here, I got my uncle in Sydney. And
when you said,
I don't think ever Dad separated work and social life. He was known to be on call 24/7, that if the phone rang and someone was needed, he would go and get them and bring them to the phone, because we were the only house that had a phone in our town. There was never a moment that someone didn't need petrol and Dad would not open up the petrol station to service, to give anything that someone needed. Dad would be the first one there to offer a helping hand. He was relied on by everyone. And I think that set an example to us in life that we're not selfish people. We're not. We're there for each other, for whoever needs us. We're there first.
My father went to Cyprus, back and forth to Australia. He built 3 houses in Cyprus. His dreams were to take us all back there and live there. And in 1974 he sold one of his properties so we could shift to Cyprus. Then the cyclone hit us in 1974, and then the war came in Cyprus in 1974 as well, and that had shattered all his dreams of relocating back to Cyprus. Then we stayed in Darwin.
So he's happy.
you got all the uncles there, like not like here, but in here near this stage, one uncle here, one uncle in Sydney. But that time, all the family for my mother, all the family for my father there. So every day, every single night, you enjoy, you get barbecue, you got something to do. And when I come to the Australian, of course, it's different, completely different.
There was always an idea, an inspiration. I have a photo there of Dad importing water pumps. Dignitaries always coming to our house. It doesn't matter which politician was passing through, they would stop to our house for a meal and a drink with my father. That's how I remember my father.
Yeah, he worked very hard. He sacrificed everything to try to push forward for all of us, education, holidays, buy us whatever we want, help other members in his family. So yeah, he worked very hard, and you would have had to be really good to be with him to work.
No car, nothing, just with 2 seconds, the turkeys take the place, I left all my car, all my tools. My father has left all the money on the toolbox, all the jewelry, and just left with 2 seconds. I grab him for the hand and I'm trying to get it out as soon as possible. Otherwise, they take his tag him all over, finish, kill every single one.
How did your father?
Daddy was a hard-working man, good man. He cared about all members of his family, and that's all I can say.
Father having the smell of toast, not cooked in a toaster but over fire, and olives heated up and a cup of tea. I remember his compassion when he came to wake me up and tell me that my grandmother wasn't well. I remember endless trips to the beach, that he would load us up in his Land Rover and just take us anywhere to see Cyprus, to see the beach. Yeah.
And now he's done so much
He's
in Australia.
coming with zero because my father always is smart, he's worked the brain and trying on future, he's trying further, he's not stay on just same position. My father is working in my father in British Army in Cyprus.
That's good. How will your father's memory live on for you in your life?
My father has left me things in his will that help my life be easier and move forward. Without help from my father, I probably would not reach the stage I am right now.
I remember there were difficult times, Chris. There were times where the fear made me not forget, the fear of jumping into the Land Rover, the fear of the days leading up to it, of the bombing, the smell of the fire in the mountains, the radio playing 24/7 with the warning of stay put, don't go anywhere, everything is under control. And as a child, you look to your elders for that support, and that was there from my parents. That calm was there in my parents. I remember jumping in the Land Rover and leaving our village, the unsurety of what was going to happen to us, and yet in all our years after the war, Dad and Mum were always supportive. Not supportive, what's another word I'm looking for? We didn't fear because they were strong. We came to Australia with absolutely nothing, and we grew up with everything. We were never without food, we were never without clothes. We went to school, we were taught values. I don't think I could have asked for better parents, a better father, a better role model. And what Dad had later was an illness.
Well, like I said, my father, the memory is absolutely is always this movement, exciting man. You can see my father, I think, so you know my father, how this reacting, you know.
You have a lot of love for you.
What were the greatest and the sweetest memories you have of your father?
Going on holidays, picnics, camping, sometimes work, and at parties laughing and joking and all this kind of stuff.
We never had that discussion in what they took from him, but I think of my father's life, I think of the man he was and the man he became, and I often spoke about it with my mum. And to be the head of your village, to be respected by everyone in your village, to have control of every movement, that anyone needed petrol, that anyone needed money, that anyone needed a lift, a doctor, my father would be the first there. And to be uprooted and to be left homeless with a family and not knowing what tomorrow would bring, I believe that enhanced my father's dementia. That brought it on more than anything, that uncertainty for that family, that fear of how am I going to feed my family. Yet we never went hungry, we never were without anything. But now that I'm a parent, I feel sad for what happened to us in Cyprus. But what my parents went through Cyprus, there are no words for it. Because now I'm the adult and I have kids and I have a family. And I picture if something was to happen like it happened to us in Cyprus, that fear of not being able to provide for your family, not knowing. I think that affected my father to have his dementia. And my mother's words were that he was such a great man and to be so humble with that disease.
Like I said, he's enjoying every day. Got good memory. That memory is you don't find them near here. So it's.
I notice here in Australia you have a very strong will to succeed.
Correct.
Do you think that came from your childhood in Cyprus?
Yes.
Maybe the motivation, no matter what happens, you keep
Keeping going.
Oh, you know what? With song and laughter. You know, people would come from Cyprus and come and visit in Burwood, and I have fond memories of people drinking and singing and eating and laughter, and I've missed that funny smile he had on his face, that nothing was impossible for him. But he laughed at me when I couldn't reverse my first car into the driveway. I thought the driveway was too small. And he laughed at me because he was very powerful. See, he always drove and had many cars in Cyprus, and here, even though he never drove, he gave us the courage that nothing was impossible. Father, the strong man he was, with song and happiness and power.
At everything, my father was a pretty fair sort of a person. Even in his days, about 2 years before he passed away in 93, my father had made his will and presented it to all of us. And if there was any queries, we could talk to my father when he was alive. And that's what kind of person he was. He was pretty fair, and he loved all his family and all his kids, and he could do whatever he wanted to help anyone.
Coming to Australia wasn't what changed my father. I think the language barrier would have been very, very hard for him, because he was a man that could communicate. He was the man that everyone in Cyprus knew of him. Not just in our village. In every town, all you had to say was Phillip from Usher, and everyone knew him. And coming here and being a nobody, and not knowing the language, not knowing where you're going to get money to feed your family from, and yet he would come home with our favourite things.
Under the water, so you must swim, you know.
And what does
It's one of the best, excellent men on the house. Is such a beautiful man.
George's father.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I wish you all well.
Thank you, George.
I've been very supportive.
and how did you?
And after 10 years on the dementia, it's passed away, and I feel sorry for them, but we can't help anymore. That's all. And after my mother is passed away, so that's it.
But the memory of your father lives in.
Our memory, my father is never forget, but never forget my mother and the father. Never. Honestly.
The greatest memories.
Those most beautiful.
He had a smile at me, towards me. I think it was our own personal smile. Father, old man, Yasugero, and his words were Mayerasis. He hoped that I would grow old, I would age, I would have many years of life. That's how I will remember my father.
Come to the end of life.
He was a great man. Great man, remembered by a lot. Sad that he was first, his generosity. That's how I'll remember my father.
Will you remember your father for the rest of your life?
The rest of our life, we don't know what life holds for us. But how can you forget your parents, your father, your mother? You can't.
Very well said.
Guide us with your